What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, guys. We got an interesting one here. We got the top 10 countries with the most Americans living abroad. I don't think I ever checked this out, but I find it interesting, so we finna check this out. This is the world according to Briggs. Let's see. Top 10 countries with the most Americans.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the world according to Briggs. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to take a look at where Americans are going when they've decided the United States isn't working out for them anymore. About 10 million Americans live in other countries, not counting the military or government personnel and their families, nothing like that. And that's according to the US. The United Nations says there's only about 5 million US residents living in other countries. The numbers are all over the map depending on how you look at it. Some only count US-born citizens that now have or are applying to get citizenship in another country, while some get counted because they bought property or they live in another country most of the year.
Wow.
Basically, we won't have any exact numbers on this one. I'm just going to give you a range according to the different studies, okay? Since 2016, the rate of outward migration has picked up steam. That was until the pandemic hit and, threw everything out of whack. Trends are broken and people stayed put. The numbers on this list are what was reported by the US Census and a couple other organizations up to 2019. So why do people leave the United States to live in another country? Most of the time, it's money. About 60% of the people give that as a reason. They move to other countries for lower cost of living and more affordable housing. Other reasons listed were politics, family, romantic relationships, and one man listed Nigeria because a Nigerian prince owed him some money and he wanted to stay close to his investment. But whatever.
Oh my God, who put that? Who put that? I need to know who put that. Hey, sometimes you gotta move closer to them people that owe you money, you know what I'm saying? He must owe them a lot of money for you to jump ship, leave your own country and go to their country. It must be a lot of money. He must be paying you in payments. That's crazy.
Whatever the reason is, a lot of Americans are moving to other countries to live their life. All right, let's see where all the expats are staying. Number 10, Italy.
Yeah.
Good food, beautiful ancient cities, decent weather for the most part in most of the country, and it's a lot cheaper. When you look at the cost of living according to the world data, they use the United States as the base and they give it 100. Italy gets a 58. This means normal expenses are about 42% cheaper than here in the United States if you're living in Italy.
I like Italy.
The cost of living and the fact that you're living in Italy is why people are moving there. Italy is a very desirable place to live, especially by a lot of, Canadians and Americans. They want to live there. About 60,000 to 82,000 Americans are now living in Italy long term.
That's crazy. Oh
Number 2,
gosh.
Peru. Yeah, I didn't see this one coming. This South American country boasts world-famous rainforests, beautiful mountain ranges, and very inviting people. The people here are really great. But the real reason people are moving here is the cost of living. Compared to the US is 100, like I said before, Peru is at 19.2. I look at it this way. To get $100 worth of the stuff in Peru, it costs you about $19.20, and that's compared to US money. There's one warning about Peru. The cities are ripe with corruption, and counterfeit currency is commonly given to tourists. I'm sure if you live there a while, you're going to know the difference, and, they probably won't try and scam you, but that's a big thing they do to, Americans, Canadians, whoever.
You really gotta go to the banks to make sure you ain't getting scammed out here. I didn't know they scamming people in Peru.
Whoever moves down there.
That's
Between
crazy.
56,000 and 84,000 Americans live in Peru long term. Number 8, France. It's France, so I'm sure not many people are surprised Americans are moving there. It's a beautiful place to live. Housing is cheaper for the most part. If you decide to live in, Paris or, the French Riviera, it's going to be a little more expensive. But most of the place, it's a lot cheaper. France has world-class wine, legendary food, and more than enough things to see and do. Their cost of living index number is 65.9. One warning though, the French have a reputation to Americans as being rude. In my experience, they're only rude when you're rude or being stupid. It's almost like they have zero tolerance for stupidity. It may be a little bit shorter fuse with Americans. Between 59,000 and 97,000 Americans live in France long term.
Okay, France. Okay.
Number 7, South Korea. South Korea has been showing up on this list periodically since the 1980s.
I ain't gonna lie.
Sure, they have a...
I'd be surprised when people move to like Korea, South Korea, North Korea, and stuff like that. It's not that I don't be understanding. I don't know. Like, what leads you to living in South Korea? Maybe it's just me. I mean, when I see South Korea, it looked like New York, just about, at least in the major cities and stuff like that. But that's interesting. This is very interesting. I wouldn't expect it to be like top on the list. You know what I'm saying?
A crazy nuclear-powered country next door, but that is a minor issue to most moving there. Yeah, for some reason that doesn't seem to bother a lot of people. South Korea remains one of the best places to live abroad for Americans. A lot of Americans land here because of the tech industry, and they decide to stay after maybe they don't have that job anymore, or their job wants to bring them back to the United States. They get another one in Korea.
Might be
South
cheaper
Koreans
too.
are known for being extremely welcoming towards newcomers. It's their thing.
Okay.
They're very, it's almost like here in the South we have Southern hospitality. Koreans are very hospitable. Additionally, expats in South Korea will have plenty of things to do outside of the cities.
Nice.
They always seem to have some sort of festival or something like that going on in different places in South Korea. The cost of living...
I was always interested. I didn't know that many people... I didn't know. You're changing my mind, Korea. You're changing my mind.
Index is 54, so almost half price what you have to pay here in the United States on average. It can get cold in some parts during the winter, but they have all 4 seasons, which a lot of people enjoy. The negative thing here is it's still technically at war with that crazy neighbor. So it's been over 50, really almost 70 years that they've been at war with North Korea, and not much has really happened in that time, but it's something you want to keep in mind. Between 67,000 and 111,000 Americans live in South Korea long term. Number 6, Israel. One of the main motivators for a new life in Israel is obviously religion. That is
this different too.
The only reason though. Israel has a growing tech sector and a really low cost of living. They come in with a 55.4 cost of living index. One thing to keep in mind, Israel isn't a war-torn desert landscape like Syria or something. If you've watched too much cable news here in the United States over the years, you might think that. Yes, they have had conflicts and unrest dating back hundreds and hundreds of years, but for the most part, it is very rare to have some craziness going on the streets of Israel. Israel is an amazing country with really nice weather most of the time. That's what draws a lot of people in. Cost of living, good weather, and religion. Between 76,000 and 122,000 Americans live in Israel.
That's surprising.
Number 5, Australia. That's right, the land down under has a whole bunch of Americans.
Hold up. I ain't gonna. I thought Australia would be up there. I thought Australia was gonna be at least top 3. Because I've been doing videos of Australia. I've been hearing a lot of great things about it. That's surprising. At least it's top 5, you know what I'm saying? So that's still a good thing. That's still a great thing.
Americans. They may not want them, but if you live there, you'd never know. They're always so nice. I'm sure some of them can be dick. It's weird how almost every single Australian I've ever met has been extremely pleasant and fun. They're just nice people.
That's a good thing.
Weather and beaches play a big part in the American migration to Australia. Australia isn't as cheap as others on this list, with a 78.1 cost of living index, but the beaches, weather, and lifestyle are really why people move here. About 90% of the people in Australia live within 20 miles from the ocean. If you want to live inland, it's not as populated, so you'll find cheaper land, but maybe not cheaper everything else because of shipping and logistics and getting things to you. Sort of like here in the States, we have Alaska. Alaska's got cheap land in a lot of cases, but everything else is expensive because they got to ship it there. Between 114 and 145,000 Americans live permanently in Australia.
I did not know
Number 4,
that.
Germany. Believe it or not, a lot of Americans are moving to Germany. You never really hear about that, but yes, a lot of Americans have moved to Germany in recent years, but actually it's been going on quite a while. There's a lot of reasons for this. Germany is a little bit easier on the cost of living compared to the United States. Again, not as much as some of the other ones on this list with a 81.3 cost of living index. But that's really not what's bringing people in. They have a great quality of life, and their work-life balance is great, along with...
I feel like that's another difference too, the work-life balance. I don't think I've seen a couple of videos, but I don't think they get talked about enough on why Americans are living abroad. Cause people are just tired of overworking themselves and not, enjoying their families. People losing their families. People losing, sleep. People stressing out here just to maintain their jobs and stuff like that. It's not worth it. It ain't at all.
An amazing culture. Working hours are shorter in Germany than any other developed nation. Despite that, Germany has one of the best economies in Europe. Germany's excellent universal healthcare system explains why people there live 2 years longer on average than people in the U.S. They've got a great healthcare system. And if you're sick, you just go. There's not, big premiums or anything else to pay. Sure, taxes and all that, but it's a lot better. A lot of people like it there. The people in Germany are happy with their healthcare system. Between 127,000 and 142,000 Americans live in Germany. Number 3, the United Kingdom. There's a few reasons Americans choose to move to the United Kingdom. One of the main reasons is there's no language barrier. A lot of people that have decided they want out of the U.S. will choose England, Northern Ireland, or Scotland because they don't want to have to learn another language, even though a good percentage of all European countries and the people in them speak English. Side note to that, if you visit or move to Manchester, they are speaking English. It may not sound like it at first, but it is in fact English. Healthcare history and culture are the main drivers for Americans to move across the pond and stay, after the language barrier thing. The cost of living index is 63.1% in the United Kingdom, which is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. The United Kingdom has between 215,000 and 252,000 Americans living within their border.
Before we get to number 2, man, I see you there, man. Americans living abroad. Why they put Canada? I'm looking right now at the bottom. They got Canada down there on the end. I wasn't trying to cheat and just, look at the bottom when they spread it. When, they label these things and separate them by, is it Canada or America? Why is that on the list? If it's considered America. Odd.
Number 2,
but these numbers
Canada.
Surprise me.
This one's a no-brainer. Everybody knows someone that's talked about moving to Canada. Normally around election years when people really start talking about this. I know they have a jump in Google searches for things related to moving to Canada every single election.
Canada is
like election
America,
doesn't go someone's way, they want to skip town. Healthcare and being close to the U.S. are the main reasons Americans want to move to the Great White North. Healthcare is one of the biggest drivers for this migration, by far. Even Americans not looking for citizenship cross the border to get their prescriptions every single day in Canada.
Wow.
Canadians do pay a good amount of taxes for that healthcare, but at least they're not going broke trying to pay for some kind of surgery they have.
Feel that.
Don't want to get into that. But one thing I did think was strange, I thought their cost of living, especially with all those taxes, would be a lot higher, but it's not. It's 70.5 compared to the US. So, like I said, you can get $100 worth of stuff for $70.50 in Canada.
What?
That's not bad. 270,000 to 312,000 Americans live in Canada on a permanent basis.
Still America.
All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give the video a big thumbs up, tell us what you thought in the comment section, and be a member of our community. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Mexico. Yeah, this may shock some of you and others not so much. A lot goes into why Americans move to Mexico. Cost of living, weather, proximity to the U.S., food, and culture are the main drivers. One other is family. A lot of Americans of Mexican parents, Mexican descent, choose to live in Mexico.
That looked very pleasant right there, though, but ain't no way.
With family. Maybe the parents got deported. Maybe they just decided to go back to Mexico as they retired. Whatever the reason, a lot of people born here are choosing to live with their family in Mexico these days. That wasn't always the case. They used to put a lot of effort into coming to the United States and never leaving. It's not as big of a deal as it used to be. Mexico has some serious crime. The US does too, but we often turn a blind eye and accept our crime while looking at Mexico like it's some kind of war zone. They do have some really bad areas that are run by cartels and things like that. I have a friend that I went to high school with who's lived in a small town in Mexico with his girlfriend for like 20 years.
Dang.
He says it's safer than the US, where he lives at least. Statistically, they are a little higher per capita in the crime area than the US, but I'm still sure it's not as bad as most of you think. The cost of living index in Mexico is 26, so like we've said, you get $100 worth of stuff for $26 in Mexico. That's the easiest way to look at it.
Dang.
Between 762,000 and 900,000 Americans live in Mexico on a permanent basis. All right, that's our video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now, a lot of this may have shocked some of you because you always hear about people moving to Thailand and the Philippines and things like that. But these are the countries that have the most, and a lot have to do with their size. I'm sure if we looked at per capita, you'd have some smaller countries than some of the ones on this list. If this video does good, maybe we'll look at that from other aspects, like the cheapest places to live, things like that. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd like to see more of these. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.
Wow. That's interesting. That is very interesting. Well, that it. Oh, it's just silent music playing now. Wow. Wow. I didn't know. That's a big jump. Because at first I'm looking at, 150, it went from like 70 to 80, 50,000, 80,000, 100,000, 200,000, like 3 to 500. 700,000 people Americans live in Mexico. I did not know that. That is new news to me. That's crazy. I knew it was cheap. I knew it was very cheap. But dang. I'm interested to see on what part of Mexico. Is it Cancun? And all I know is Cancun. Pretty much. This is surprising. This was very surprising to me. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. This was different. But definitely enjoyed it to see. Like I said, I thought Australia would be like top 3, top 5, still not bad. I guess when you start throwing in how much it costs, the cost and all those things, people look into that. But I was hurt that I didn't see nothing of Scandinavia on there, I would think because of the coldness, maybe the winters, people don't want to deal with that. But all in all, like, it was good to see Germany on there because, the standard of living and all those things like that, work-life balance, those are good things. Those are good things to move for. But Mexico, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Still interesting. South Korea is interesting too. Very interesting. But that's all I have for this video, guys. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Send me more video suggestions. Y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.